Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. News and prophecy, linking the things that are happening throughout the four corners of the earth, as well as here in Babylon the Great, linking these things to the Holy Scriptures, giving the faithful elect, the remnant of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, the remnant of Israel, Yashar Allah. All right, assurance through faith, right? Through tapping into the volume of the book, assurance that Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua is in control. All right. And ultimately, as the scriptures say in Isaiah 33:6, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. And we do these lessons to give you stability in these dark and confusing times as things are getting very perilous. All right. And we can see how goofy, all right, and tacky our enemy is getting. But you best believe, all right, that they're going to use these recent happenings to come down with great wrath as they are getting caught left and right. Shameful spewing has definitely, tarnished the reputation, all right, of this devil. No one trusts him. All right, he's losing credibility. So with the recent happenings, he's putting himself in position, all right, to be a victim. And we all know it's tacky. We all know it's fake. All right. But in the grand scheme of things, it ties into biblical prophecy. All right. Now, right off of the back of the Southern Poverty Law Center being indicted and being found out to not only funnel money to white supremacist groups like the Ku Klux Klan and others, all right, they're also funding them, all right, to do particular crimes, all right, and keep, racial tension out in the air so that they can move forward with their plan, all right, and what the Southern Poverty Law Center was supposed to stand for, all right, we found out, all right, through this recent indictment that ultimately they're a part of the ones who perpetuate it, okay, and over the years, we've seen the talking point, all right, out of nowhere of white supremacist groups being a big problem in the U.S., and then systematically they start bringing up, black supremacist groups, black identity extremists, and all of this rhetoric to try to put a black face in line with what Edomites do. And we know what the history of Esau, Edom here in America and throughout the four corners of the earth, especially those Christians, all right, Christian Edomites, the small hats, all right, they're vicious. They've used the Bible to, steal land, destroy, all right, kill, steal, and do all manner of wickedness, all in the name of their racial superiority. Ethnically cleanse, nations of people out of their lands, okay? And they are the ones who use their racial superiority and God complex to harm others, all right? But what Southern Poverty Law Center and the likes of Vocab Malone was set up to do is try and link, all right, in the grand scheme of things, all right, the Israelites to the very acts that white supremacist groups do, all right? And it hasn't worked. Okay, so Esau Edom is getting ready to take another angle, all right? And we're going to tap into this recent happening with this school shooter. Now, brothers have done videos on this Southern Poverty Law Center, all right? In the grand scheme of things, Esau Edom is getting caught left and right, okay? And this is strategic in them bringing this out, all right? Because the Epstein files are kind of disappearing, and pretty much it's so much wickedness that they do that they allow certain things to come out, all right, to, dominate the minds of the people so that other wickedness can, pretty much go unnoticed. But the holy angels are recording everything. Nothing is going unnoticed. The scriptures talks about how Babylon the Great sins will reach into the heavens. So no matter what is, in and out of the media and what seems, all right, to disappear and no justice is served, well, the justice will be served. Okay. And as the scripture says in Second Ezra, the 13th chapter, when Yahweh Shah returns, he's going to rebuke the wicked inventions of these devils, man. And they will be paid back for all of the evils that they have done, because their evil, all right, their evils go deep. So this happening here with the Southern Poverty Law Center, which you can look it up. I saw the Elder Malcolm did a video on it, and various other brothers have done videos on it. As a matter of fact, let's get this real quick, because the world is starting to awaken to the evils of the rulers of this world, and particularly the small hat, which this current regime that is in office are working on their behalf now. It says here in the book of Isaiah 32 and 4, it says, the heart of the rash shall understand knowledge. And that's what's happened in these latter days, the great awakening. Those who were once looked at as rash, rough around the edges, a no people, all right, the true biblical Israelites, are now understanding knowledge. Okay, and corruption is being overcome. All right, and that's what this whole system is rooted in, corruption. All right, this is how you can have a bunch of devils who are Edomite supremacists themselves, okay, at the forefront of what is called justice. All right, at this Southern Poverty Law Center. All right, when you look at what it stood for, what is the purpose of the Southern Poverty Law Center? Southern Poverty Law Center is a nonprofit legal advocacy organization founded in 1971 that monitors hate groups, exposes extremism, and engages in litigation to dismantle white supremacy. So it started as a group that was, hinged in, coming up against white supremacist groups. Okay. And systematically, they just threw black supremacist groups in. Now, how the hell can a so-called black person be supreme or practice supremacy in America? That doesn't make sense. Usually when, the black and so-called black and brown people, get together, it's to march, for injustice. All right. And, pretty much, what they say, organize. They're not going around using their racial superiority complex to harm others. But this is what the Southern Poverty Law Center. All right. And remember this happening here, which we ain't got to watch too much of it. But if you remember this,
here, between
some years ago, you have this, was a Carolyn Bass or Karen Bass. I believe she's out of California. Some years ago, she was getting at this Edomite who, at the time where the FBI was doing reports on what is called black identity extremist, right?
here, between 1956 and 1971, the FBI ran a counterintelligence program named COINTELPRO that was initiated by J. Edgar Hoover. COINTELPRO mainly targeted civil rights leaders such as Martin Luther King, and it's commonly understood that this was an abuse of its surveillance power in a manner to suppress a peaceful movement. So I would like to ask Mr. Chair unanimous consent to enter this report into the record, which is black identity extremists likely motivated to target law enforcement officers.
Right, black identity extremists. I mean, what the hell does that mean? Okay, you're extreme about your identity. And what group of people on the planet Earth uses their racial, all right, superiority and God complex to harm others and ethnically cleanse? That's you Edomites. And we're witnessing what the small hats are doing to the so-called Palestinians right now. What they've done in South Africa, what you did over here in America. Christians and people, who call themselves JOOs, right, are at the forefront of having an identity extreme, and do extreme things to others. All right. But what's getting ready to happen and what they've been doing over the years is wiggling Jacob in there, okay, as a black identity extremist.
I believe earlier you said you were not familiar with the report. Is that correct?
Well, I haven't read it. I know some of the alleged targeting of officers.
Look at this
by
guy.
Okay, so I would
group.
like to know, and I'll ask you about that in a minute. So you are somewhat familiar with it. Who had the power in your department to order a report like this?
I'm not sure how that report got ordered. I don't believe I explicitly approved it or directed it.
Okay, so you haven't necessarily read the report, but you are familiar with the term Black identity extremists?
Well, I think so, yes.
So can you tell me what that term means to you? Do you believe that there is a movement of African Americans that identify themselves as Black identity extremists, and what does that movement do?
Well, I'd be interesting to see the conclusions of that report, but I'm aware that there are groups that do have an extraordinary commitment to their racial identity, and some have transformed themselves even into violent activists.
Are you aware of white organizations that do this as well? Given that white supremacy is well-documented, well-researched movements such as the neo-Nazis, the Ku Klux Klan, etc., are they white identity extremists?
I didn't follow that question. Please, again.
Is there a term or a report on white identity extremists? You mentioned you were familiar with Black people who identify with their racial identity.
Yes.
And see, this is all tied to the true biblical Israelites awakening to who they are. So what they've done historically, right here in Babylon the Great, was anytime Jake tried to wake up, they were able to infiltrate, they were able to demonize, they were able to work their wickedness and justify dismantling. See, but this is a different time. Now, although they have infiltrated particular groups, and there can even be agents amongst Great Millstone, see, this time there's a spiritual happening and there's a remnant. You know, all those other movements, the Black Panthers, the Brown Berets, civil rights. All right. Ultimately, Esau Edom was, you know, it was all carnal. It had nothing to do with turning back to the true nationality of who we were, calling on the name of the Lord, faith. Okay. You know, they walked around with guns, which some of you Israelites walked around with guns. And ironically, the ones who were walking around, you know, posting up with guns and playing this tough guy role, you know, they've been dismantled. And you don't think they're going to, you know, use that as a means to demonize? But when we were warning you, you didn't want to listen. See, all of those reprobate moves, you know, burning flags at you camps were making, because at the end of the day, they're getting ready to come down with great wrath either way it goes. All right. But what you did will be held, or you will be held accountable for the spirit you were in, and you won't be protected in the grand scheme of things. You're going to be confounded. Either way it goes, you can look this up. All right. Because Esau Edom is extreme. All right, according to his identity. And he's been able to hide his identity. Let's go back here to the book of Isaiah 32 and 4. It says, the heart of the rash shall understand knowledge. So they have to find a way, all right, to demonize it, to sabotage it, to make it out to be something evil, right? And the tongue of the stammerers shall be ready to speak plainly. See, we were only supposed to be a bunch of niggas, rappers, you know, jumping from the, you know, the free throw line, you know, hopping up and down with microphones and red cups. You know, they never wanted to see the true biblical Israelites come back to who they were. And this is what frightens them. This is what has them moving with such fervency to establish their new world order. Block the sun. They're trying to do everything in their power to stop Jacob from receiving his inheritance, his blessing. And they're going to fight against Yahweh Shai upon his return. So the vile person shall no more be called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful. So no one's looking at this man as credible through this word coming out and through all of this exposing that's going on. All right. In that day, ungodly fools will not be heroes, scoundrels will not be respected. And see, this is what's happening in the earth right now. Okay? For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy, and to utter error against Yahweh, and to make empty the soul of the hungry. They don't want you to be well fed through the Holy Spirit with who you are. They have to find a way to demonize it. Okay, and over these last years, there's been certain happenings with people who was supposedly, linked in with being Israelites. They'll go into their, they'll do some folly, and then they'll go into their, social media history and see one of them said shalom, and years ago he was, supposed to be in this group, but nothing really has stuck. But you best believe they got their wickedness that's getting ready to be worked. They got their COINTELPRO groups. All right, there's groups out there who you may think are literally really teaching, but in the grand scheme of things, Esau Edom set the whole thing up, and they're getting ready to do things, all right, that are going to hasten what Esau Edom wants. But everybody's figuring out that Esau Edom is the devil, man. He's not a credible leader, and he wants to cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. It says the instruments also of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. So even when we speak right, tell our people to repent, come up from black culture and all the different cultures, so-called Native American culture, Mexican culture, Cuban, Haiti, Haitian, all these things that had us drunk. Even when we speak right, they try to figure out a way to destroy it and dismantle it. You calling yourself an Israelite has them in cahoots, losing their damn minds. But see, in the grand scheme of things, it's because through this word, there's a shameful spewing upon this devil's glory. Habakkuk 2:16, thou art filled with shameful glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. Okay? And this is what's happening. In the Southern Poverty Law Center, remember that guy, Morris, what's his name? Morris Dees. All right. Sexual misconduct. All right. See, these are things that are swept under the rug. All right. But this guy's the reckoning of Morris Dees in the Southern Poverty Law Center. See, this guy was brought up on charges, all right, of sexual misconduct. All right, but it was dismissed. But the Southern Poverty Law Center and all of the people at the forefront of it are a bunch of devils, man. And you can look at this guy, right? And you can look at all of these devils and see that they're not right. The very people, pointing the finger and, getting ready to play the victim are the biggest perpetrators of wickedness and evil in the earth. And they're all involved in Epstein activity. Even if they ain't on the file, this is what they do. So the chickens are coming home to roost. Let's go back here, right? Thou art filled with shameful glory. Habakkuk 2:16. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be brought upon thy glory. So this happening with the Southern Poverty Law Center, right?
Listen.
This happening with the Southern Poverty Law Center, right?
The Southern Poverty Law Center was paying the leaders of KKK and other groups to continue their operations? Is that?
I'm not alleging it. The grand jury returned an indictment that says that Southern Poverty Law Center is raising money, asking folks to give them money to dismantle racism, and over a very long period of time.
And not only were they giving money to these groups, they were giving money to them, all right, to perpetuate, violent acts and do things. So in the grand scheme of things, Esau Edom is through. All right. And they're having to bring out certain things like this, all right, just to try to cover up from the fatal blow of what people found out about the Epstein files. And, And the Epstein files, in the grand scheme of things, are small work. But let's tap into, you can look up, this video here. Just look it up if you want to watch it. In the grand scheme of things, Esau Edom is being brought into a snare. And immediately after this came out, you have this happening with this Jake who supposedly shot 2 police officers. See if I can pull this up.
The man accused of murdering a Chicago police officer and critically injuring another inside a hospital on Saturday faced a judge today. WGN's Angelica Sanchez was inside that court.
It was on pretrial.
There he goes. YN entered. It looks like a YN, but immediately after Esau Edom gets caught, all right, you have this happening, all right, and then all right, this particular school shooter, all right, not school shooter, school teacher who charged up into a building in Washington, D.C., shot a security guard and almost, and didn't get killed himself. And we're going to tap into some of the imagery and what Esau Edom is doing and what this is going to lead to, because this is all off of the back of, out of nowhere, all right, the U.S. is adding firing squads, all right, electrocution and gassing to federal execution methods. Remember some years ago, Trump was talking about bringing back beheadings, right? So as they're getting ready to play the victim, right, and this is what you call capital punishment, all right? Capital punishment, also known as the death penalty, is the legally authorized killing of an individual by the state as punishment for extremely serious crimes. And see, they're getting ready to tie us Israelites to, all right, extremism, right? You got Vocab Malone trying to tie us to, all right, Islamic terror. You got the Southern Poverty Law Center and other little organizations, all right, pushing this whole black identity extremist rhetoric. And in the grand scheme of things, they're scared, but they're going to use their power and their laws to pass legislation, all right. And the way they're going to make it seem like it's being fair is that, they're going to, Muslims are going to be up in there. Certain Edomite, extremists are going to be up in there, right? But we're getting ready to be a target. Okay, it says it's the legal authorized killing of an individual by the state as punishment or extremely serious crimes such as murder, treason, or terrorism. Let's look up this word treason. All right, treason. So that's getting ready to be an offense worthy of death. Treason, right, is the crime of betraying one's country, especially by attempting to off the sovereign or overthrow the government. See that? And what this guy supposedly did, which, I mean, even without tapping too deep into this individual here and what happened, everybody knows it's a false flag, right? But things will come from it. All right. The dude said I could have brought a Medusa in there. Would-be assassin mocked hotel security, all right, before WHDC shooting. And when you see him on the ground here, all right, this is psychological, as the priest Ayashimaf said. It's psychological that they got this dude on the ground, right? And just like that, Jake is now, again, a so-called black face, which I don't know if his father's an Edomite or what's up with this guy, but you know where they're going with it. All right, just like that. Okay, they're now able to put this face as the face of terror, and now they're the victims. Now everybody's attacking them. You see? And as we'll show you, look at Trump's response to it. Right? As a matter of fact, before we even go there, a day before or 2 days before this happened, Look what CNN posted. How would an assassination attempt be staged? Okay. So, what, I mean, come on, man. Okay. And while this was happening, all right, Trump was standing with this small hat magician, Oz Perlman. All right. And you got two people in this, you got that word Oz keeps popping up. You got Dr. Oz, who's one pushing the MOTB, right? Technology, okay, who's a part of Trump's team. You got this guy Oz Perlman, a known, a Israeli magician, standing with Trump as this happens. So this is all an enchantment, you see. And again, this is off of the back of U.S. adding firing squads. Because what is a firing squad if you don't know? What is a firing squad? Okay. What is a firing squad? Okay. What is a firing squad? A firing squad is a method of capital punishment where multiple shooters, typically volunteers or military personnel, simultaneously fire rifles at a restrained, often blindfolded prisoner to cause swift death. Okay? Basically, target practice with your ass. You see that? So these things are getting ready to now be legalized. Beheadings. Okay? The Justice Department takes actions to strengthen the federal death penalty. Okay? And this thing that we're involved in is deadly serious. Okay? President Trump's day one executive order directed the department to prioritize seeking and implementing death sentences to protect public safety. Okay? and he said the prior administration failed in its duty to protect the American people by refusing to pursue and carry out the ultimate punishment against the most dangerous criminals, including terror, all right, child murderers, all right, cop killers, yada, yada, yada. Under Trump's leadership, the Department of Justice is once again enforcing these laws and standing with victims. And now, with this happening with this guy, all right, now they're able to make themselves victims and the talk of anti-Sim and various different things. So without, and we know what the scriptures say about his policy, right? Let's get that. Daniel 8:25, and this is speaking of Antiochus Epiphanes, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace he shall destroy many. So he's bringing about peace after these things. They're talking about now we need peace, all right? As we'll show you. All right, I couldn't wait, but Trump says Americans must trade liberty for safety. Time to approve FISA, warrantless domestic spying. Okay? And we're going to bring that out in just a minute. But there you go. This is Revelation, the 13th chapter, personified. Okay? So be strong. Let's get that. This is the book of Zechariah 8 and 9. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, let your hands be strong, ye that hear in these days the words by the mouth of the prophets, which were in the day that the foundation of the house of the Lord was laid, that the temple might be built. And now a spiritual temple is being built. So be strong. Let your hands be strong. All right. This is all a part of the Lord's plan to magnify his name and to deliver us out of the grips of Satan. This is the Lord's movie plan out. And we have our role in it. Everybody else has their role in it. Esau is playing his role to a T. He deserves a damn Oscar for the role he's playing. He's going in 100%. As tacky and stupid as it is, you can clearly see what this devil is getting ready to do, because the Bible said that he was getting ready to do. It said before these days there was no hire for man, ain't gonna be no jobs, nor any hire for beast. All right. Neither was there any peace to him that went in and went out because of the affliction. For I've set all men, everyone against his neighbor. So it's going to be a chaotic situation, man. Farming is going to be done, right? It's going to be a very interesting time that we're entering into. But now will I not be unto the residue of this people as in the former days. So in former days, he corrected us, he chastened us, but the remnant are getting ready to be blessed. For the seed shall be prosperous. The vine shall give her fruit and shall give her increase. The heavens shall give her dew, and I will cause the remnant of this people to possess all things. So good things are coming for us. All right. But we have to go through the straight and narrow. All right. Let's play this video here.
I need to start with something you won't hear on the nightly news. Not because it isn't true, but because asking these questions in Washington these days is treated like a crime. Saturday night at the Washington Hilton, a 31-year-old part-time math tutor from Torrance, California named Cole Thomas Allen, armed with a pump-action shotgun, a 9mm hand...
Not to mention, let me see if I can bring it out. He was in the news in 2017.
Wheelchair emergency brake.
The wheelchair brakes tend to lock the wheels, but don't actually lock the chair to the ground. The idea with this is to prevent it from moving at all.
Recent Aging into the Future conference held by St. Barnabas Senior Services and the Eisner Foundation offered a test run on products that have the potential to enrich the lives of seniors. 14 different tech startups got to present to over 350 people in the hopes of getting their projects into some sort of senior health facilities.
So some type of bill is getting ready to be snuck in. But as you can see, just randomly.
College student Cole Allen developed a prototype for a wheelchair emergency brake.
The wheelchair brakes tend to lock the wheels, but don't actually lock the chair to the ground.
He sound like it could be a tear. I don't know. You know, we can look it up. But at the end of the day, all Esau needs is the visage. Okay, all he needs is the visage. And as you can see, he on the ground with his face down. All right. And a guy who did something like that, you know, ran up in there like that, he would have been put down. But somehow, all right, they just captured him, and you know, he shot at one of the security guards, I believe. So is this, you know, another mind control? Who knows? In the grand scheme of things, we're just looking at what's to follow. Because you're going to have to give up your freedoms for the greater good of surveillance and making a safe environment. That's what's getting ready to happen. Pushing closer to that MOTB, Digital Tower of Babel system.
Gun and multiple knives sprinted through not one, but multiple security checkpoints where the President of the United States sat eating his main course. And the only reason we were talking about an arrest instead of a funeral is that the Secret Service agent he shot point blank happened to be wearing a bulletproof vest. Trump and his wife Melania were rushed off stage, Vice President J.D. Vance thrown behind a curtain, and cabinet members shoved to the floor under tables while 2,600 guests in tuxedos and ball gowns screamed and dove for cover, something you've already seen the clips of.
A chilling video released by Donald Trump captures the exact moment a gunman shattered security and
just ran up in there, shot this dude,
and stormed a checkpoint at the White House Correspondents Association dinner in Washington, D.C.
The gunman, meantime, entered the Washington Hilton tonight armed with a shotgun, a handgun, and multiple knives, sprinting past a security checkpoint outside the ball.
A shotgun, a handgun, and multiple knives.
Room where the president, the vice president, and much of his cabinet were gathered.
The grainy footage conveys the drama of the moment. A gunman rushing a Secret Service checkpoint in a Washington, D.C. hotel, heading towards the president.
But what you probably haven't seen is the swarm of questions that erupted within minutes of the all clear. Because as the shock wore off, people started noticing things that don't add up. Footage from inside the ballroom shows not everyone was panicking. Some guests stayed in their seats, sipping wine and finishing their burrata salad as if the loud bangs were part of the evening's entertainment. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt had told Fox News on the red carpet barely an hour earlier that there will be some shots fired tonight in the room, a comment that has since gone viral for obvious reasons.
Rumble, is he not?
He is ready to rumble. I will tell you, this speech tonight will be classic.
See the hand sign.
Donald J. Trump. It'll be funny. It'll be entertaining. There will be some shots fired tonight in the room. So everyone should tune in. It's going to be really great. I'm looking forward to hearing it.
I love it all. And you wrote most of it, you said.
I can't take credit. In true Donald Trump fashion, the man puts his pen to the paper himself. So it's a lot of his own work.
And 12 days before any of this happened, an X account going by the name Chili Dog posted a prediction so specific it makes your stomach turn. Trump is going to go for a staged assassination attempt again. Blame it on Iran. I will put a 25% chance on this play. Before I take you through every layer of what happened and why Tehran's media is calling this exactly what it looks like, I need you to do something for me. If you believe honest journalism means following the questions, and if you haven't subscribed and walked through Saturday Night minute by minute.
Yeah, that's the magician. He was on the Joe Rogan show and told him his bank card code. Just these devils got something going on. All right. These are all enchantments, man.
Because the official story and the observable facts are already pulling in opposite directions. The White House Correspondents Association dinner at the Washington Hilton was the first Trump had ever attended as president. He'd boycotted it during his entire first term, calling the press the enemy of the people, but this year his team made a show of showing up. Around 8:36 p.m., just as dinner service was getting underway, a man staying at the hotel as a registered guest, according to Washington's interim police chief, somehow managed to carry a shotgun, a handgun, and multiple bladed weapons through the Hilton lobby, past the initial security screening, and close enough to the basement ballroom checkpoint that he could fire a shotgun blast at a Secret Service agent at nearly point-blank range. The agent took the hit to his vest and survived. Allen was tackled to the ground by agents, zip-tied, and arrested without being shot. Closed-circuit footage Trump later released on his Truth Social platform shows the suspect sprinting at full speed, arms pumping, through what should have been an absolute fortress before agents draw and engage. Then there is the Chili Dog post. 12 days before this shooting, an X-user wrote, and I'm quoting directly, "Trump is going to go for a staged assassination attempt again. Blame it on Iran. I will put a 25% chance in this play. Trump has lost all global respect such that he had allies and enemies alike laughing at him." When you look at the timing of this event against the backdrop of Trump's collapsing poll numbers, that post stops sounding like a random internet prediction and starts sounding like a script that someone read ahead of time. Just days before the dinner, a University of New Hampshire poll had Trump's approval crashing to 39%, with 60% disapproving. A CNBC poll recorded his net approval at -18, the lowest ever across both his terms. Nearly 75% of Americans rate.
So the Val person is no more being called liberal. Okay, and even greater than that, the tiny top is being mocked. Okay, let's get the book of Revelation 13 and 11. "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, Babylon the Great, and he had two horns like a lamb," the Democratic and Republican, all right, parties, which mimic, all right, the plebeians, patricians of the ancient Western Roman Empire. "And he spake as a dragon," okay, and dragon, all right, speaks to draconian measures. "He spake as a dragon," Draco, okay, 1404, that's the spirit. Dracon, all right, and let's look up what are draconian measure. This is Oz. That word Oz. Okay, you got Oz Perlman standing with Trump while that happened, an Israeli magician. Very interesting. But let's look up draconian meaning. All right. Laws, regulations, and punishments that are extremely harsh, severe, and cruel. I'm sorry for clearing my throat. Apparently, that's bothering somebody. Boy, oh boy. It says it originates from Draco, the ancient Greek lawmaker whose legal code was famously brutal, punishing minor offenses with death. So draconian goes back to an Athens, Greece lawgiver who was known for strict, severe, harsh, cruel, oppressive, and heavy-handed, drastic laws. So all of this is coming at the time where firing squads and all of these torture methods are getting ready to be brought back into fruition because Nero's in office. Okay? And here he is. Okay? Very interesting. Let's go back.
Rated the economy poorly. His war in Iran, launched in concert with the occupation forces, had driven.
See, as I was reading in Revelation, the 13th chapter, this is what leads, as you read this chapter, this is what leads to the MOTB being set up, which is centered around taking away all your civil liberties and rights and putting in a tracking system that tracks your carbon footprint, limits what you can buy and sell based upon, you know, your social credit score, and all of these various different things we see being set up. And this is very important to prophecy. So if you got a problem with it or you're tired of it, just click off the video. Because by you doing that, you're tampering with evidence. Okay, evidence tampering. Let's look that up. Evidence tampering meaning. Tampering with evidence is the illegal act of altering, destroying, concealing, fabricating. No, it was something. We talked about it because basically they don't want us to testify. They want us to conceal or I forget, but we know in Leviticus the 5th chapter or Exodus the 5th chapter, it goes into we have to testify. But we talked about at camp the other day, it's a particular term. I don't know if it's evidence tampering. All right, but let's see. Legal court proceeding. Tampering with evidence. So by you telling us not to prophesy, okay, you're guilty of an offense. Anyway, to hell with Jake, man. Let's go back and go into this.
Driven fuel prices through the roof and turned even his Republican base against him. The man was politically drowning. And suddenly, almost on cue, he's a survivor again, a martyr, a man the nation must rally behind. And rally he did. Within hours of the shooting, Trump was holding a late-night press conference in the White House briefing room, flanked by his cabinet, calling the suspect a lone wolf whack job and a sick person. He even referenced Iran in that same press conference, floating the idea that the attack could be linked to Tehran.
Well, when he was down, they had him down. He was fighting hard. He was, in my opinion, a sick person. Who would do that but a sick person? But I think you're going to find everything about him. No reason to talk about it now. But tomorrow at this time, long before this time, you're going to know a lot of things about him. They seem to think he was a lone wolf, and I feel that too.
Are you concerned about U.S. Secret Service protection ability? We saw several of the detainees take minutes to be escorted out of the room.
No, they acted very quickly. No, I was very impressed by Secret Service. I mean, I'm the one, and Mark, when you would agree with that, I think, I'm the one that would complain. You don't have to complain for me. I would be complaining. I'd be up here right now saying they didn't do their job. Oh, believe me, because, it's my life. And I want to live because I want to make this country great. That's why I want to live. But when you're impactful, they go after you. When you're not impactful, they leave you alone.
So like this guy on this video is saying, your gas prices are high. Americans are turning on them. MAGAs, turning on them. MAGAs imploding. Small hat people are finding out that they're working on behalf of Small Hat. So just like that, he's able to make himself a victim, a martyr, and through his policy, he's going to cause his craft to prosper. See, 2 Ezra 6:28, as for faith, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome. Everybody's finding out how corrupt this place is. And the truth that has been so long without fruit shall be declared. So they're trying to figure out a way to make a man an offender for a word. Okay? And everything's coming out. Okay?
Okay, a couple of more. Go ahead, please.
In relation to this shooting could have been linked to the war in Iran.
I don't think so, but you never know. We're going to know a lot. Well, we have the best people in the world working on it.
But what about the footage that is circulating? Because this is where the official narrative begins to seriously fray. Multiple videos from inside the dinner show a scene that defies basic human psychology. After shots rang out, after Secret Service agents in combat fatigues stormed the stage with rifles drawn, after people around them were diving under tables and scrambling for exits, some guests remained seated. Some continued eating. Some kept drinking their wine. Watch some of the footages I saw live on CNN. What did they know about the incident that made them so unfazed?
That our program is going to resume momentarily.
And
I mean, you could watch the rest of this video. I mean, I don't want to get too much into the the ins and outs of what was, we all know that this was a WF, a double F. All right. I mean, so I want to jump to the manifesto, because just like the majority of shooters lately, this guy had a manifesto. So let's tap into this. We'll get a few other things and close it out.
I'm not a school kid blown up or a child starved or a teenage girl abused by the many criminals in this administration. You're starting to see the dam breaking. This unprecedentedly corrupt, illegal, criminal White House, covering what the corporate media covers up. Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup. Breaking news, the alleged White House Correspondents' Dinner shooter was radicalized by pedophile and rapist Donald Trump. Not my words. Those are his words in an alleged manifesto that has been released. He apparently wrote it and sent it to his family about 10 minutes before he started shooting outside of the ballroom last night. Let me read to you the manifesto. Accused White House Correspondents' Dinner gunman Cole Allen Thomas is his full name, sent a sprawling, crazed manifesto to family members about 10 minutes before Saturday's attack. Sources told of the New York Post. The 1,052-word missive obtained by the Post Sunday morning, signed Cold Force friendly federal assassin Allen, outlined his rules of engagement for the shooting and stated he believed it was his righteous duty to target administration officials. So he clearly was targeting.
It was his righteous duty. Listen to that again.
Full name, sent a sprawling, crazed manifesto to family members about 10 minutes before Saturday's attack. Sources told of the New York Post. The 1,052-word missive obtained by the Post Sunday morning, signed Cold Force friendly federal assassin Allen, outlined his rules of engagement for the shooting and stated he believed it was his righteous duty to target administration officials.
His righteous duty.
So he clearly was targeting Trump and other Trump administration cabinet officials. Here is the manifesto. Again, he sent this to his family about 10 minutes before he started shooting. Hello, everybody. So I may have given a lot of people a surprise today. Let me start off by apologizing to everyone whose trust I abused. I apologize to my parents for saying I had an interview without specifying it was for, quote, most wanted. I apologize to my colleagues and students for saying I had a personal emergency. By the time anyone read this, I probably most certainly do need to go to the ER, but can hardly call that not a self-inflicted status. And he is a teacher and an engineer. So that's the reference to his students. He is a teacher in California. I apologize to all of the people I traveled next to, all the workers who handled my luggage, and all the other non-targeted people at the hotel who I put in danger simply by being near. I apologize to everyone who was abused and or murdered before this, to all those who suffered before I was able to attempt this, to all who may still suffer after, regardless of my success or failure. I don't expect forgiveness, but if I could have seen any other way to get this close, I would have taken it. Again, my sincerest apologies. On to why I did any of this. I am a citizen of the United States of America. What my representatives do reflects on me. And I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes.
So now people who are calling out the Epstein files and, are basically being radicalized. Okay. And the word radical really means going back to your roots. They take these particular words. All right. And, use them for their purpose, but in the grand scheme of things, to be radical just means you're returning to your roots. Okay, and that's to them, people returning to their roots is, somehow a bad thing. But anyway.
Well, to be completely honest, I was no longer willing a long time ago, but this is the first real opportunity I had to do something about it. While I'm discussing this, I'll also go over my expected rules of engagement, probably in a terrible format, but I'm not military, so too bad. Administration officials, not including Mr. Patel, they are targets, prioritized from highest ranking to lowest. Secret Service, they are targets only if necessary and to be incapacitated non-lethally if possible. AKA, I hope they're not wearing body armor. I hope they're wearing body armor because center mass with shotguns messes up people who aren't. Hotel security, not targets if at all possible. AKA, unless they shoot at me. Capitol Police, same as hotel security. National Guard, same as hotel security. Hotel employees, not targets at all. Guests, not targets at all. In order to minimize casualties, I will also be using buckshot rather than slugs, less penetration through walls. I would still go through most everyone here to get to the targets if it were absolutely necessary, on the basis that most people choose to attend a speech by a pedophile, rapist, and traitor, and are thus complicit. But I really hope it doesn't come to that. Rebuttal to objections. As a Christian, you should turn the other cheek. Rebuttal. Turning the other cheek is for when you yourself are oppressed. I'm not the person raped in a detention camp. I'm not the fisherman executed without trial. I'm not a school kid blown up or a child starved or a teenage girl abused by the many criminals in this administration. Turning the other cheek when someone else is oppressed is not Christian behavior. It is complicity in the oppressor's crimes. Objection 2. This is not a convenient time for you to do this. Rebuttal. I need whoever thinks this way to take a couple minutes and realize that this world isn't about them. Do you think that when I see someone raped or murdered or abused, I should walk on by because it would be inconvenient for people who aren't the victim? This was the best timing and chance of success I could come up with. Objection 3. You didn't get them all. Rebuttal. Got to start somewhere. Objection 4, as a half black, half white person, you shouldn't be the one doing this. Rebuttal, I don't see anyone else picking up the slack. Objection 5, yield unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Rebuttal, the United States of America are ruled by the law, not by one or several people. Insofar as representatives and judges do not highlight the key part here, which is he basically gave a smorgasbord of the worst of the Trump administration. The inhumanity, the illegal behavior, the accusations of being complicit or involved in the Epstein sex trafficking ring, bombing and killing fishermen in Venezuela, off the shores of Venezuela. I mean, it's a long list. The illegal war in Iran, killing nearly 200 Iranian schoolgirls. Obviously, there's, in this country, millions of people that agree with him that would not have taken this action. But he is going through a long list of grievances that is about the Trump administration. I think it's also pretty relevant that he's directly calling the president a pedophile, a rapist, a traitor, and calling folks who do not take action complicit. He is accusing the people attending the White House Correspondents' Dinner of being complicit. And to be clear, I am not, in status quo, is not condoning this shooter or the violence, but it should be noted there has been an accusation against Donald Trump of having sexually assaulted and physically assaulted.
So there you go. It's all centered around the evils and the things that people are calling out, the things that are coming out now. Okay, with this happening, and people are saying his words are felt across the world. This is how we all feel. So now there's going to be a growing narrative. Okay, it's going to be a growing narrative that people who speak against the evils of this place, all right, are dangerous. Okay, so Trump says Americans must trade liberty for safety. Time to approve FISA. All right, let's see what this is. Let's look up what FISA is. Okay, Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. Okay. All right, and here comes Palantir, and here comes all of this, you know, these AI things that have been dangling, you know, in the background for a while. The things that were used to seek out, you know, those Iranian, you know, offenders and find people and just destroy at will. Now they're getting ready to be used on U.S. citizens. Okay? This is where it's going. Okay? And I believe we're in the Feast of the Beast, which is a left-handed high holy day. Okay? See if it'll bring it up here. Feast of the Beast. No, they ain't gonna talk. There you go. Illuminati's feast, Feast of the Beast ritual. I believe we're in that. So anyway, you know, you can look into that on your own, but let's go back. Let's go here to see what FISFA. I think I looked it up, right? FISA, right? So Why is FISA controversial? Because it's dealing with mass surveillance. So this is going to give them things like this and more that are getting ready to happen, are getting ready to bring them closer and closer to their plan. I mean, if you can't see where this is going, then I don't know what the hell. It says President Donald Trump just dropped a bombshell on his own supporters. He's ready to surrender Americans' Fourth Amendment rights to the deep state's favorite domestic spying tool. All right, so it can keep rolling. Okay. It says in a blunt truth social post, Trump demanded Congress immediately reauthorize Section 702 of FISA, the warrantless surveillance program that vacuums up Americans' emails, texts, and calls without a judge's approval. Okay? So they're getting ready to get ugly with it. And if certain things are in your email, in your texts, on your social media posts, all right, you can be rounded up. Okay? Again, what does the scripture say all right, the book of Matthew 24:9. They shall deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And many shall be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. Because there's going to be a lot of pressure. Okay, is this your dad? Is this your friend? You know him, yada, yada, yada. Okay? So love is about to wax cold, and some of us will face the beheading that's spoken of in the book of Revelation, the 20th chapter. And remember, this is not a loss. This is the book of Revelation 20 and 4. Okay, and let's see if they'll bring it up here, because it came and went in the news. Trump beheading post by NC rep prompts calls for her resignation. But it was some time ago he said it. All right. But that's cool. This was some years ago. Maybe like 2024. But either way it goes, we know what prophecy says. Let's go back to Revelation 20 and 4. It says, and I saw thrones, and they that sit upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahushua and for the word of the Most High, which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received this mark upon their foreheads or in their hands, as they were warning in Revelation the 14th chapter. And to warn against these things is to speak against it, to call it out. And they lived and reigned with Yahushua for that 1,000 years. And that's that first 1,000 year period setting up the kingdom of heaven. But they were beheaded. Let's look up this word beheaded. Okay. I believe the apostle Paul was beheaded. And Nero was in power when Paul, all right, was crucified or taken out. Okay.
Strong's G 3990. Pelekidzo.
To cut off with an axe to behead. That's it. Straight to the point, man. Okay. And Rome, all right, Rome was heavy into, all right, capital punishment. All right. Capital punishment. In ancient Rome. Okay, so Roman capital punishment was characterized by extreme, brutal, public spectacle and strict class distinctions with methods designed to maximize pain, humiliation, and deterrence. Crucifixion, beheadings, and so forth. All right, so this is the spirit of ancient Rome coming back, man. All right, they burn people alive. Okay. Nero, let's look up Nero capital punishment. Okay. He initially banned it and sought to reduce it, however, became more notoriously despotic, orchestrating the murders of his own mother and wife. Okay. Following the fire which he started it. He ordered the brutal persecution and execution of the followers of Yahweh Shai and used them as human torches, right, and so forth, all right? He shifted to tyranny. And that happened too when he started to be looked at in an evil manner. All right, his approval rating dropped, so he shifted to tyranny. His reign became increasingly violent, marked by the murder of his own mother, yada yada yada. So this dude was a complete demon, man. Okay. So this man was a complete monster, man. Right? Going back to this particular article, right? It says, in a blunt truth post, Trump demanded Congress to immediately reauthorize Section 702 of FISA, the warrantless surveillance program that vacuums up Americans' emails, texts, and calls without the judge's approval because the military really needs it. See that? Even worse, he openly admitted the program was weaponized against him by bad people during the Russia hoax, yet declared he is personally willing to risk giving up my rights and privileges as a citizen of our great military, for our great military and country. So you can see where it's going. Okay?
Surveillance tool that expires this coming week. It obviously allows the FBI to surveil potential terrorists who are overseas. And we don't know right now if this individual was radicalized by somebody like that. But do you think about the importance of having these tools to protect our country from these kinds of threats? And how will you get that message to Congress when there's a Congress right now that's skeptical about renewing those powers?
Well, Jackie, I know both sides of it because Pfizer was used against me and very, very viciously by a dirty cop. You know, we had the Comey gang, Comey and his remnants, and it was used against me. And they used it very illegally. I mean, they signed court orders that were illegal. Mm-hmm. Every one of those people should be prosecuted, frankly. It was used against me. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is that the military really needs it, and it's really needed for national security, and there's a division, but I was willing to give that up because, again, it was used against me more than anybody else, and by bad people, by sick people also. These are sick people. Comey was terrible. He was a horrible, sick person. He had real problems. And I use the word to describe him. He was a dirty cop. It's an old-fashioned term, but he was a dirty cop, bad guy. And there were other bad guys. And they used Pfizer illegally. They used it for a purpose it wasn't supposed to be used for. Okay. On the other side, you have the military. They really need it. General Raisin Cain. Look at the success we had in Venezuela. Look at the success we're having with Iran. I mean, Iran is decimated. And we got a lot of information by using Pfizer. I think we would have been very successful regardless, but it made the job a lot safer and a lot easier. So I would say, and what I've done, and I've told people, I'm willing to give up my security for the military because ultimately that's, to me, the highest cause is the safety of our nation.
So there you go. All right. It says this is the ultimate freedom for safety sellout. The very trade-off patriots have fought for centuries. Trump, of all people, should know the danger. The same fistful machine that spied on his campaign is now being handed a blank check under his watch. Benjamin Franklin is spinning in his grave, and yeah, MAGA's through. MAGA's has been betrayed. Y'all are through. All right, and this is getting ready to get very interesting. All right, as he's getting ready to hone in. All right, on the rights of everyday Americans. Okay, again, your Constitution is getting ready to be done away with now in Canada. Let's go here. This is Arrows of Indignation, Famine of the Word. No street preaching in Canada today, tomorrow, Babylon, only a matter of time. Okay, let's check this out.
This is a bill that is very disturbing on so many levels, and we'll discuss that in today's podcast. Here it is. This is from LifeSite News. Canada's House of Commons passes an anti-Christian bill that would criminalize quoting the Bible. Let's get on down here and read a little bit of the details of this. All right, the majority of Canadian MPs have voted to pass a liberal bill. Again, this is not something that may pass. This has now passed. This bill will allow the criminalization of religious expression and belief when quoting parts of the Bible, including about homosexuality and gender. We've been warning about this. Has been in the radar for a long time. We knew this was coming. And you may be tuning in and say, well, Brother Ricky, I don't live in Canada, so this doesn't apply to me. Oh, it will. Because again, just because it ain't in your neck of the woods doesn't mean it's not coming to your door soon. Recently, MPs from the Liberal Party in the Bloc in Quebec there in a 186 to 137 vote passed a bill called Bill C9, known as the Combating Hate Act. Conservatives, NDP, and the Green Party's MPs voted against the bill in a rare form of unity among the usually opposing parties. The bill now heads to Canada's rubber stamp Senate for review. A last-minute effort by the Conservatives to change the wording of the bill failed to pass. Earlier this week, Liberal MPs forced the bill through the report stage after earlier, as reported by LifeSite News, shutting down all debate on the bill in the committee stage. In comments sent to LifeSite News, Campaign Life Coalition blasted the passage of Bill C9 and called upon Christians and pro-life advocates to prepare for increasing hostility. Quote, with the passage of Bill C9 in the House, Christians and pro-life advocates will almost certainly face an entirely new level of hostility as the door swings open to actual persecution under a, quote, cloak of supposed legality. This is according to the CLC's campaign's manager, David Cook, who is also a Christian pastor. Cook went on to say that the Bill C9 was framed as a law going after hate, but in reality, it is a bill that religious leaders from various faith communities say could lead to hate-related charges against believers. It empowers ideologically driven police officers and judges to target, for the first time, the very word of God on matters of life, family, and faith. Quote, we must prepare for the battle ahead, said Cook, adding Canadians must commit to the one who has won the ultimate victory over every foe demonstrated by his resurrection on that first Easter morning. CLC Director of Political Operations, Jack Fonseca, noted that the Bill C9
oh boy, these Christians, boy,
must be stopped in its tracks in the Senate, but he admitted, it will be a hard battle as most of the senators were appointed by former Liberal Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. As the battle to defend religious freedom in Canada has now moved to the Senate, which unfortunately Justin Trudeau has spent the past decade stacking with anti-Christian bigots like Christopher Wells, a radical LGBT activist who I suspect will relish the opportunity to, quote, criminalize parts of the Bible as hate speech. So, guys, you can see how this is concerning. You can see where this is going. Despite this, Fonseca noted that there is always hope that things could turn around. We call upon all people of goodwill to flood senators with phone calls, emails, social media comments, and if possible, personal visits.
All right. A offender for a word. All right. Absolutely. We here. All right. They're just getting the necessary, happenings going. And then, hey, the unrighteous decree will come to pass, even here in Babylon. Isaiah 29:20, for the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off, that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate. All of this is centered around a snare. This is an enchantment. All right, this thing we see happening in DC. All right, and all worldwide, they're getting ready to rebel against the scriptures. Okay? And turn aside the just for a thing of naught. So they make a man an offender for a word. See, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate. And see, while they're doing this, we're being more emboldened in the word. So this is Revelation, the 13th chapter, clashing with Revelation, the 14th chapter. Okay, the beast, his image and his mark, all right, against, coming up against the true gospel of Yahweh Shema Shai. It's all getting ready to clash, man. You see? So, then you have this situation where these two police officers were shot. Okay. See that I have anything else, because I didn't want to. Yeah, this was a good video too. You can check this.
Pulled out all of.
You know, Call for an Uprising goes in on it too. And Erica Kirk was crying again.
Was performing and hosting conveniently for your Christian President Donald Trump. Let's just take a quick look at Erica Kirk, because of course Erica Kirk was there, and this really shows you that the government is making this so over the top fake because they know they can get away with it and people still buy into it and nobody's going to do anything about it. So Erica Kirk was there. And of course, here's the video of her running out saying she just wants to go home. The acting continues to be off the charts with this actor. I mean, you can't make it up, right? Happen to be in attendance. Oh, flashbacks to Charlie. Charlie, who's doing very well over in Israel. And of course, this is another operation of Israel, as you will see momentarily. But we'll start with Israel's Mossad agent himself, Oz Perlman. You may have seen this guy. He gets rolled out all over the place. He's on sports shows. He's on Joe Rogan, right? He has the answers to all these things. He knows people's PIN numbers to their phone. And that's is it magic or is it a Mossad agent? I mean, both are one and the same because we know, obviously, the synagogue of Satan that calls itself Israel, which is not the true Israel, practices black magic. That's what's in the teachings of the Zohar. It's in the teachings of the Talmud and specifically in the teachings of the Kabbalah, which, of course, Freemasons also practice themselves. So this is one of the big photos here because right before the shots were fired, how convenient, that Oz Perlman was standing next to Donald Trump showing him a note card. It probably said lights, camera, action. It probably said 3, 2, 1. You can see the bogus reaction on Melania Trump's face. And again, Oz the Mentalist on ESPN even recently called, people calling him a sorcerer, right? You have to remember that this is magic that's being performed. The people who are believing in these assassination attempts are under a spell. They're under hypnotism, right? The Bible speaks often about magic and sorcery, not partaking in those things. And most Christians, again, ignore those things. Just like when Jesus was giving exorcism, most Christians don't believe in demonic possession. And a lot of that is obviously because of some of these ridiculous preachers that we see who pretend to be giving exorcisms, like Benny Hinn or, some of these guys, these Christian preachers, or movies like The Exorcist, which dramatize those types of things. But we have to remember this. We're talking about magic, right? Ephesians chapter 2, verse 2, wherein in time past he walked according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now worketh in the children of disobedience. Satan. It's referencing Satan as the prince of the power of the air. But most people don't realize, what do they call television? What have they called it since the television has been released to us publicly? The airwaves, right? You have Satan, the prince of the power of the air. You get your television signal through invisible airwaves that you can't see. And what else do you get through the air? You get your Wi-Fi. You get your... That wasn't the magic trick on stage that was being performed on Trump and Melania. The magic trick is being performed on the audience who is witnessing this and then covering it and talking about it as if it actually occurred. That's how spellcasting works. So again, that's magic. That's how it works. All of this stuff you see going on is magic being performed on the audience, through the airwaves, through the internet, the Wi-Fi frequencies, a perception of reality that is being manipulated by Satan himself and Federal Reserve, United Nations, right? Here he's holding it up. Is he just a fan of theirs?
He's right. How are they doing that? Honey, I'm going to tell you something. You are Satan himself. Oh my God. What's going on with you? This is crazy. He's a witch. DM me. She's like, come on the show. I'm like, I will, Roseanne. I got a big announcement. She is frightened every time you come on her show because you freak her the hell out. Yeah. She's like, I don't know. It's all black magic. I can have it on. I know you have a big announcement. I'll use my powers only for good. I swear. What? 3 of diamonds. You said 11. Lift it up and show everybody the 11.
Oh my, that's crazy.
You representative of Satan. I sold my soul for the devil. No, lift up that quarter yourself. I don't want to touch anything. Lift it up.
Just the word underscore?
Look, lift up the quarter.
But I have no idea if there's anything in the book.
And look, right? Can you tell them what word? I'm going to flip this up.
Assassinate him with the technology we have today. We have DARPA bullets that could curve around trees. We have heart attack weapons. We have literally people that could have their houses blown up from these these smart meters that are put on there. We have rays and stuff the government has that give people heart attacks on the spot. But Trump just keeps avoiding it because, of course, we were told because of propaganda that it's divine intervention, that God has chosen him, right? Incredible. And Trump even happened to do a little Bible read this week right before the assassination attempt. I'm sure that wasn't tied into knowing that this fake assassination attempt was coming so that they could start building that narrative back up again about Trump being chosen by God. You might say, well, why are they doing this stuff? Well, for lots of reasons. People are catching on to Trump being a puppet for Israel and Netanyahu and the mass genocides that are being occurred on civilians, especially children, right? We obviously see the market manipulation going on where, yeah, the stock market has gone up to all-time highs where we're supposedly in conflict with Iran. And
it's a lot of, a lot going on. All right. But this was, this visual was big because, like, come on now, they didn't off the dude.
Footage, you think, you know how hard it is? How many of these true crime shows do we see? We've all seen them before where you've heard of a murder and it takes a while to get the actual footage, or they won't even show you the footage. They'll just say, oh, the police have the footage, they're not going to show you the actual footage. It's too disturbing. No, then hours. Conveniently, the CCTV footage is just released. They weren't like, hey, we should probably evaluate it for a little bit here. See if we missed anything. We could end up looking bad. We could end up looking like that. We probably should. No. It's released to the public immediately. Why? Because the perception immediately goes into your mind. Oh, this is real. Here's cameras that were inside of the lobby that found the guy. So this proves in your mind. Pronounce it. They're always just cookie cutter names where it's a first name and a first name that's is the last name.
So you could watch this video. Call for an uprising. You see the name of the video. Isaiah 47:10. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. And now nobody believes you now. You through. So only thing that he got, really, the only place he can go is towards perdition, bring the sword, accuse, and crash out. That's really the only place he has to go. Try to, further that, that greater Israel thing in Iran. He ain't got too many more plays left before he just, shows his hand and the Lord makes a move. So he's going to bring that MOTB, though. He's going to bring that surveillance. He's going to take away your rights. So you hast trusted in your wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and knowledge have perverted thee. Thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, and thou shalt not know from where it rise. And mischief shall fall upon thee, and thou shalt not be able to put it off. And desolation shall come upon thee suddenly. Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so, thou mayest be able to profit. If so, thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, and the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Okay? All the advice you receive has made you tired. Where are all your astrologers and those stargazers who make predictions each month? Let them stand up and save you from what the future holds. Let's see if Oz Perlman could save you, all right, from what's getting ready to happen to you. Okay? But he's going into some more, conspiratorial talking points in this video. But yeah, it's very interesting that this guy was, at the time it happened, he was talking to Trump. Let's see what he says here, because I haven't watched this fully.
Which this guy happened to work at. Of course, Jack Parsons is one of the most notorious occultists to ever exist. He's an influential occultist, member of the Ordo Templi Orientatio, okay, which, again, founder, devout follower, Aleister Crowley. He's a follower of Aleister Crowley. And again, if you're not familiar with Aleister Crowley, the man who calls himself the B666, they performed the Babylon working ritual, which many people believe was a ritual to bring in the Antichrist, a ritual that was done called the Babylon working, a series of sex magic rituals performed by rocket scientist Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard, the creator, of course, of Scientology. And they manifested the Thelemic goddess Babylon on Earth as a human incarnation. And the rituals drew on Aleister Crowley's teachings to shatter the boundaries of space behind his head, sun worship. I mean, it's all right in front of our faces, right? And of course, it goes back to the magician. The real true magician here is Donald Trump. As Marina Abramovich, who everybody out there knows, Marina Abramovich is a witch. Remember from Pizzagate? All the stuff with Lady Gaga, the cannibalistic parties, right? The stuff that spirit cooking that she drew on the walls with coagulated blood of children, her connection to Israel, right? The rituals you have with her head on the wall, Satanists like Jay-Z, right? Well, here she is talking about how Donald Trump is the great magician to bring in this order out of chaos and how he is needed for this.
funny opinion, but there is in Lapland there is a group of the shamans there who do something called collective dreaming. They will go together in seclusion and do the rituals with eating very little food and being in solitude for a long time, and they will go and dream the dreams, and the dream have to be collective same dream. So coming out of this dream, this once the shaman told me that actually the best thing happened in this planet right now is the Trump to be the president. I said, how is this possible? It's the best thing to happen. He said, yes, because he's so irrational, he's so crazy. That's actually create that awakening that we finally wake up. Because before it will be another guy and everything was similar, but he's so different than anything else. So he's the magician who waking us up. What do you think? That's kind of terrible. Trump is the best thing happened ever to us. That he is the magician of the highest order. That he is there in his irrational mind to create confusion in order, that the human being is defining order. It's not so stupid thinking about this in that way. It's completely turning things upside down.
So the great magician strikes again. Because the magic being performed is on the audience. The audience who believes that the deep state is trying to assassinate Donald Trump, that he's not one of them, that he's not an actor, a character, because they believe the news. They believe the airwaves, which are manipulated by Satan himself.
Yep, and let's finish this off with this scripture here. Ephesians 6 in the Geneva Bible. Ephesians 6:10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in Yahweh Bashim Yahushua and the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, that you may be able to stand up against the wiles of the devil. And this is going to get deeper. More is going to happen. It's going to get crazier. They got more up their sleeve. But the Lord has allowed you to see Satan for what these devils for what they really are. Okay? But they believe me, they're coming with more. That's why the scriptures say, if possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Put on the whole armor of the Most High, by Hashem Yahushua, that you may be able to stand against the assaults of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, and against worldly governors, the princes of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness, which are in high places. See? Worldly governors who are tapped into the left-hand side. For this cause, take you on the whole armor of the Most High, by Hashem Yahushua, that you may be able to resist in the evil day, and having finished all things, stand fast. Stand therefore with your loins girded about with virtue, and having on a blessed breastplate of righteousness. Okay? So we got to be strong, because it's getting ready it's going to be some things that's getting ready to happen. That's going to make it hard for you to smile. Okay? This all plays into the hands of us getting the victory, because he has to move forward. Devil's getting ready to come down with great wrath. Shalom.